The Odyssey showed me that what you want the most is what you most can't have. And what you most can't have is something that you already had and lost. That was the cinematic experience. Somewhere along the way, we stopped chasing experiences. We started chasing content, blockbuster movies, big budgets, bigger openings, bigger franchises. We forgot what it feels like to walk out of a theater unable to speak. And the Odyssey reminded me of that. I've never had more trouble in my life trying to align my thoughts and convert them into words, because the experience that the Odyssey makes you feel is something that another person cannot express, is something that you have to go out there and experience by yourself. Like always, Christopher Nolan does something amazing. He takes a grand concept and tries to internalize it within the protagonist and makes you feel the emotion that he is feeling. And the source of that emotion is going to be that grand concept. With the Odyssey, he's perfected it. Like, this was the case with Oppenheimer, this was the case with Interstellar, this was the case with Inception, even The Dark Knight, Memento, and all the movies that he has ever made. But with the Odyssey, it hits different. It makes you feel exactly like the character's feeling, and that is some amazing storytelling. If you try to analyze what's the best way to measure the success or the impact of a movie, it's time. It's how long it stays with you. I've seen the Odyssey twice. I've been back and forth, and the only thing that I can think about is the movie, some specific frames or a dialogue or the music or the feeling, the high that it made you feel in the third act. And no other movie has done that recently for me. When I went to see this movie the first day, in the opening day, I saw a lot of movie lovers, right? There were no casual people. They were all just movie lovers of Christopher Nolan, and everyone was so locked in. Like, when the movie ended, everyone had no reaction. They were just in shock. But in my second viewing, I actually ended up going to another theater which had a lot of casual people, right? Like friends, families, couples and stuff like that. And it's the first time I've ever seen something happen, and I don't think it's going to happen again. When the movie ended and the lights turned on, I got up, I looked back, and I saw a lot of people just hugging each other. That's how satisfying the third act is. It delivers such a deep level of emotion into your heart that no other movie has done so far. What this movie changed for me, the perspective about this director, is not as a director anymore. I think of him as a better writer than a director. Taking a story that's 3,000 years old, and it's embedded into people's heads, and it's embedded into generations, nations, and culture, and going out there and changing that story while still staying faithful to the original material and changing only a small detail, but having that detail impact the story so much and in many ways make it better. These are not my words. Go out there, look up interviews. A lot of people that have seen this movie say that this story resonates better with them, better than the original source material. And that's why Christopher Nolan is a better writer than he is a director. So the rest of the video, I'm gonna just talk about a couple of scenes, a couple of spoilers, so be careful. The scene with the sirens, I have never seen something so creative. I've never seen a character's perspective shift to another character with such ease. Like, whenever Odysseus is in a scene, we are seeing everything through his eyes, his perspective and everything. But the specific scene with the sirens where he tells his crew to tie him down, the perspective switches to one of his crew members. It switches to Himesh Patel, and we see the sound closing in. We see him seeing everything around the ship. We see his perspective of what the sirens look like. That's a great way to represent something that cannot be represented. You cannot represent the song of the sirens and make people hear it, because it's an individual experience for everyone. It's something mythical, it's something magical, it's something that doesn't exist in our reality. But through the lens of one of his crew members, we experience Odysseus. and we see what he's going through, and we understand what he's going through, and that's what hits us. That's what makes it feels like this is the reality of how the Siren song would sound like. And that is some amazing creative filmmaking. And don't even get me started about the third act. The third act is so good. It's so good. It's so satisfying. Like I told you, people were hugging each other when the movie ended. It rewards you to a level that no other film has ever reached for me. It makes you feel happy. It makes you feel sympathetic. It makes you feel joyful. It makes you feel alive. Christopher Nolan has perfected the non-linear storytelling style. Now, don't get me wrong, he has done this in the past. He's done this with Oppenheimer. He's done this with Memento, but both of those movies were a little bit structured in a way where it required you to focus. With the Odyssey, the way Jennifer Lame has cut the movie and the sequences that stack on top of each other are so well done, because you don't have to put any effort to understand a non-linear story. And that should not be the case with a non-linear story. A non-linear story previously required your attention, it required your focus, it required your energy. It required a lot of resources from you to understand what's going on. Not with the Odyssey. Not at all. Now, all of you know that the cast of this movie is insane. Now, I knew that Matt Damon and Robert Pattinson, all of them were going to perform really well. The one that I was the most shocked about was Anne Hathaway. I never expected her to have such a great acting range, and for her to portray a character that she did in the movie in a way, because that connected with me on such a great level. Like, she's the visual representation of Zeus's law. Think about that. And another kind of surprise for me was Tom Holland throughout the movie. I mean, the first half, he's okay. He's the Tom Holland that we know. But the second half, he really proves that he is capable. The sound design in this movie is so good. The Troy, the war, the arrows that Odysseus is shooting towards their army, you can feel the sound of the arrow flying through the air and stabbing them. It's an experience that only some movies do with some specific scenes, but with the Odyssey, it's done throughout the movie. And don't even get me started on the symbolism with Athena. I have no words. I mean, towards the end, when he's disguised as a beggar and he's talking to Penelope and he just raises his hand out there and we see Athena appear and we understand why she's there, who she represents. Athena, to me, represents not a way for Odysseus to get home, but a way for him to remember Zeus's law, a way for him to become the person that he once was. And Athena doesn't even get a lot of screen time. And in the scenes where she's saying some dialogue, those have a good impact. But the best ones are the ones where she's just silent and you see Odysseus' face just looking at her. Matt Damon's expressions and eyes tell you everything that you need to know about Athena. If you go to watch this movie, and if you go to watch this movie again, notice when they show Matt Damon's face for the first time, he's with a bunch of children and he's trying to show them how to hunt. And he strings his bow and he plays that sound. And that is the introduction of the Odysseus character. So Christopher Nolan builds an association with that bow, that string, that specific sound with the character. And then again, that happens at the end of the movie. If you notice, when he's disguised as a beggar, he tells Penelope Odysseus is not back yet. He will be here when you need him, but he's not back home yet. When he strings that bow, that same introductory sound that introduced us to that character, we realize that Odysseus is back. If you have seen the end, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, just go find a screen that's the biggest and closest to you, the one that you can actually get to, and go watch this movie as soon as possible, because I can bet you that we're not going to have a similar experience like this ever again.